Let's be real. When was the last time you put off going to the doctor? Maybe you said, I'm too busy, or it'll heal on its own. Or my personal favorite, I don't even know which doctor to go to. We've all been there. Booking a doctor's appointment can feel really daunting. But there's not really an excuse anymore, thanks to ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Most bookings happen within 24 to 72 hours, and you can even sometimes get same-day visits. I know that if I ever needed this, it's exactly what I'd use. Stop putting off those doctor appointments and head to ZocDoc.com/Sportly to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Sportly. ZocDoc.com/Sportly.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. It's August 2021, the Tokyo Summer Olympics. Slovenian climber Janja Garnbret hangs from a green plastic rock suspended feet in the air.
Here comes Garnbret with the lead in this world final, and now looking to cement her place in potential sporting history.
She's just one move away from a gold medal, and it's taken her 15 years to get here. The air is electric, the energy palpable. Spectators lean forward in anticipation as Janja clings to the wall with only 15 feet to go. In the blink of an eye, she propels herself upward. With one hand, she pulls. Her body swings up and she hooks her fingers around a rock hold. For a brief moment, she's suspended in the air, and she catches her last hold. And just like that, Janja is an Olympic champion.
But it's Janja Garnbret of Slovenia who gets the gold medal and becomes this sport's first female Olympic champion.
At just 22 years old, Janja has become the first ever female Olympic gold medalist in competitive climbing. Hey everyone, this is Kavitha Davidson, and welcome to another episode of Sportly. Each week, we discuss lesser-known sports history, iconic events, notable athletes, and impactful moments on and off the field. Moments that, all too often, fall to the sidelines of history. Today, we'll be talking about a sport that has recently taken the nation and the world by storm: indoor competitive rock climbing. It began with the great outdoors, quiet, peaceful, yet dangerous ventures through the mountains. But over time, rock climbing has gradually made its way indoors to gyms across the globe. It is now a multi-billion-dollar industry with a loyal following. For some, it's casual, a fun pastime. For others, it is competitive. So how did rock climbing, an exploration of Mother Nature's playground, get here? Bold, colorful plastic shapes drilled into a wall, soft, padded mats, fluorescent lighting. This is far from the great outdoors. Yet rock climbing reflects one of the most basic human impulses there is, the desire to explore. Let's go back to the 1800s, and you'll find the earliest recorded climbing ventures, both in Europe and in China. Welcome to the golden age of alpinism. Mountaineers traversed the natural landscape, exploring steep and challenging rock faces in an effort to summit peaks. The air is crisp, the adventures bold. They cling to the rock face, the wind at their backs. Adrenaline courses through their veins as they chart new paths, reach new heights. Their equipment is basic, using primarily hemp ropes and wooden pegs to assist them. They rely, most of all, on physical strength and skill. By the 1950s, the sport represents something even greater, a rejection of conformist, materialistic, middle class, if not bourgeois, living. A decision to veer off the beaten path, a form of liberation. You see, there's a culture clash brewing, and rock climbers are right at the center of this debate. The 1950s see the rise of the middle class in America. With the post-World War II economic boom, many middle and working class families suddenly find themselves with some extra money. And with extra money comes vacations. National parks like Yosemite cater to the middle-class white family looking to escape the suburbs without leaving modern conveniences behind. So families can get the best of both worlds, a front row seat to nature's jaw-dropping beauty and, a mini fridge. But the 1950s also see the rise of a very different group, the beatniks, also known as the Beats. A disillusioned group of young people who prioritize travel, the arts, poetry, and experience over the trappings of post-war materialistic life and anything that looks like stability. And among this group are some rock climbers. Many of these rebellious climbers use parks like Yosemite as their playground. Their presence is controversial. They agitate park rangers with their loud parties at base camp. But they continue on, spending their days exploring the park's natural wonders. At the heart of Yosemite's climbers, though, a rivalry is brewing. Royal Robbins and Warren Harding, two climbers who couldn't be more different from one another. Characterized by his tidy appearance, short hair, and spectacles, Robbins is an intense, competitive man with a love of literature. He climbs by a careful set of principles, limiting his use of climbing bolts, essentially metal spikes hammered into cracks in the rock and attached to rope. Known as pure climbing, Robbins's middle use of bolts is all about respecting the rock face and limiting environmental damage. Here's professional climber Alex Honnold on Robbins's philosophy.
I think Royal's legacy probably is clean climbing, or his contribution to the clean climbing ethic, where the challenge was more internal and less about the gear, less about overcoming the mountain, and more about overcoming yourself and being able to challenge yourself on the inside.
Unkempt and unshaven, with a crude sense of humor and a love of booze, Harding's style is, different. Harding does not care for pure climbing. He finds it snobbish. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get to the top, even if it means putting some wear and tear into the rock face. Harding soon begins a strategy of drilling holes into the rock, setting up a series of fixed bolts and ropes. This way, he can rest for longer and transport gear. But as if Robbins's pure snobbery isn't agitating enough, he soon begins to outperform Harding. It starts with the northwest face of Yosemite's 2,000-foot half dome. After summiting this impressive rock face in 5 days, Robbins becomes known as the best climber in Yosemite. And Harding is furious. In response, he and his team spend almost the next 2 years setting up a series of fixed bolts and ropes to make it to the top of the 3,000-foot nose of Yosemite's El Capitan. The process is long and grueling, completed in various separate stretches. For months on end, the team goes up and down, slowly building a path to the top. Here are some of Harding's fellow climbers.
Thousands of feet of rope, carts with wheels for ferrying supplies. It was too much. Forget it.
What the hell am I doing here?
I hated the entire time up there. I couldn't handle the exposure.
But Harding pushes on, and after about 1.5 years, he finally makes it to the top. At the time, it's unquestionably the single biggest rock climb in American history. As you can imagine, Harding's use of fixed bolts does not sit well with the purist in Robbins. In fact, he sees Harding's blatant disregard for his rules as a slap in the face. As Robbins later writes, Quote, Harding became a national hero, but I wasn't among the applauding throng. How much of my peak was idealism and how much was just envy? I don't know. To make a point, he climbs El Capitan himself in one go, without the use of a fixed bolt and rope system. Back and forth the two men go, trying to outdo one another. But there's no doubt that this rivalry inspires some of the greatest climbs of all time. And for rock climbing, this is only just the beginning. By the 1960s, outdoor rock climbing has become a global sport. Then, in 1968, one small event begins a shift that would forever change the sport, bringing it in an entirely new direction. This year, the first ever indoor climbing wall opens at the University of Leeds in England. The wall is created simply for controlled indoor training, a way for climbers to perfect their techniques in a much safer environment. And climbers like this idea. It's smart and it's practical. By the 1970s, other indoor climbing gyms begin to pop up across the globe. The gyms try their best to create an artificial rock face, drilling rocks into wooden boards just feet off the ground. It's no El Capitan, but it'll do. After all, it's just a training facility, right? But something strange begins to happen. By the late 80s and early 90s, the first indoor commercial climbing gyms begin to appear. And these gyms are no longer just for outdoor climbers. They're open to the public. The average person can now walk right off the street and onto the wall. And as more and more indoor gyms pop up, people begin to come not to train for the outdoors, but for the sake of indoor climbing itself. From these simple beginnings, indoor rock climbing has transformed into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Climbing gyms have now become dynamic spaces with yoga studios, social areas, gym equipment, and, of course, plastic rock walls. The equipment has become more durable and lightweight. The walls have become more elaborate, more challenging, and more aesthetically pleasing. A portrait of funky shapes and colors, many of today's indoor climbing walls may remind some of a Picasso painting, a painting that attracts many. By the end of 2024, 635 climbing gyms had opened across the US, an increase of over 70% from 2014. And the average annual revenue per climbing gym is almost $1 million. These gyms have become a place of community where members can bond over their shared love of climbing. And within this community, true to the legacies of Royal Robbins and Warren Harding, there exists competition.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
1985, Bardonecchia, Italy. Two Italians gather a group of talented climbers for the first ever climbing competition in the world, Sport Roccia. Thousands of people look on as German athlete Stefan Glowacz climbs to victory. In this ascent, a new competitive sport is born. Climbing competitions soon begin to appear across Europe, Japan, and America. In 1991, Germany hosts the first ever World Championship for competition climbing. By 2020, competition climbing becomes an official Olympic sport featured at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So what does competition climbing look like? Well, it comes in three primary forms. In lead climbing competitions, each competitor gets one chance, 6 minutes, to attempt each route. Routes are assigned, meaning that participants must follow a specific path up the wall. The higher a competitor gets, the more points they earn. Then there's bouldering competitions. Unlike lead climbing, they're not about height, but difficulty. Bouldering is all about the number of attempts it takes to complete a boulder. Fewer attempts equals more points. Competitors are faced with boulder problems, a series of challenging routes they have to complete. For the most part, routes aren't quite as high as lead competitions, but here the challenge is in executing particularly difficult moves with great precision. This is clear in the way that climber Janja Garnbret moves at the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Janja setting up for this stand-up move. The beginning of the boulder not too difficult, but really needing to just be accurate here. Does that so controlled.
A key element of this competition is problem solving. Competitors don't see routes until the moment of the competition. There's little time to strategize. But in both lead and bouldering, climbers get a brief observation period where they get to take a look at the routes as a group. Some choose to talk through strategies together, while others go it alone. Finally, we have speed competitions. This one is self-explanatory. The fastest to the top wins. Leading up to the competition, climbers can train as much as they like on the route. There's no mystery or surprise here. The day of, they get 2 official timed attempts. But let's get back to the person we first met at the start of the episode, Janja Garnbret. Before becoming an Olympic gold medalist, Janja's just a 7-year-old girl climbing her way through life. At that age, Janja's parents enroll her in a climbing course, and it's love at first sight. The 7-year-old begins climbing everything she can see, from trees to furniture. Within a year, she already starts competing. From an early age, coaches see spark and potential within her. And while she isn't always the most talented climber, she's overflowing with drive.
Yeah, I was second to last. Or I was like sharing the last place with another girl. But yeah, I wasn't very good at the beginning.
It doesn't take Janja long to catch up. By the age of 9, she wins the national overall title in lead climbing. But there's a problem. Janja's also a dancer, and she doesn't have time for both, so she has to make a decision.
Of course, I decided for climbing because it was my first love. This was just something that I enjoy doing. I loved the feeling of climbing. I loved how I felt on the wall, so I just kept on doing it.
With the support of her parents and coaches, Janja begins to thrive. By the end of elementary school, she joins the Slovenian youth climbing team, and at just 13 years old, she participates in her first official youth competition.
And I didn't even know for what kind of competition I was going. And then when I was there, they told me, yeah, it's European Youth Championship. Oh, okay, that's cool. And I won that competition, my first ever.
It's a big stage for a teenage girl, and the pressure can be overwhelming. But Janja doesn't care about the spotlight. All she wants to do is climb.
When I climb, I'm in my own world. I don't know what's happening around me. It's just basically me and the wall, just feeling the moves, the movement, and I just enjoy myself on the wall.
Inspired by other climbers, Janja begins by imitating her role models. But over time, she begins to develop her own unique style of climbing. After entering into the World Cup circuit at just 16 years old, she experiences a series of unbelievable successes. And that's what brings her to the Olympics. We're back where we started, the Tokyo Olympics, August 2021. Janja has just become the first ever woman to win an Olympic gold medal in competitive climbing, winning the combined event. The event includes all 3 styles of competitive climbing: lead, bouldering, and speed.
Both athletes are away clean and they are neck and neck at the start of this race. Garnbret with a slender lead. Jessie Pills coming back. Garnbret going to late here. And she's going to get there. 7.81 from Janja Garnbret. And that is one of her best times ever.
7.81 seconds. It sounds pretty fast, right? In fact, it's Janja's personal best, but it still isn't quite fast enough. In the speed portion of the combined event, Janja comes in 5th. She doesn't have a great start. but her dominance in bouldering and lead make up for this. Janja takes the bouldering discipline by storm.
The world #1 starts on boulder #2.
The lower part of the arrow volume, but he goes with the dyno. Bang! Game over. Golden points to Garnbret. She wins the bouldering discipline with a problem to spare. That's why she's that good.
With 2 down, Janja has just one final discipline left, lead.
5th in the speed. Demolition job in the bouldering.
This is the event that this woman in particular has been waiting for.
In a series of impressive moves, Janja takes the gold.
But it's Janja Garnbret of Slovenia who gets the gold medal and becomes this sport's first female Olympic champion.
The 22-year-old is ecstatic.
I'm still actually not used to the title Olympic champion. I think I realized what I really achieved because it's just, I still can't believe what I did.
But Janja isn't done. After competing in the 2024 Paris Summer Olympics, she's now a 2-time Olympic gold winner. And that's not all. The 26-year-old also holds 8 World Championship titles, 3 European Championship titles, and 45 World Cup victories. For Janja, the sky's the limit. As she likes to say, you can always train your weaknesses, always be stronger, but the limit is only your mind. She hopes to be a role model for others, showing them not only the good sides of the sport, but the challenging sides as well.
And we are not doing this for others, but for us. So my advice for younger girls would be just enjoy and listen to yourself, and then the results will come.
If you dream big, she says, anything is possible.
This is your playground. Just play.
Thanks so much for tuning into Sportly. Tune in next week and every week after as we dive into another great story. And if you have thoughts or suggestions for a topic you'd like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. Please email me at kavitha@immigrantlypod.com. If typing a long email is not your thing, record and attach a voice memo to your email. Who knows, I may read it or play it in one of the upcoming episodes. Sportly is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan. Our associate producer is Andrea Koskay. Written by Emmanuel Monahan. Research assistant by Suhasini Patni. Our sound designer and editor is Paroma Chakravarti. Our theme music was created by Simon Hutchinson. Other music by Epidemic Sound. Tune back in next week and every week after for more Sportly.